Welcome to another edition, the live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studios. Thanks for watching us tonight. We appreciate it. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Glad to present our show to you. Chip Hayner's right here next to me. Smoking Jim Frazier, you know he's a media mogul. He's out there all the time. Well, he got asked to host an event by a guy that he's been talking about, Dr. Ramon Hart, whose son didn't go to Gateway, how he would not put him in the City League Hall of Fame, yet he's hosting an event for his friend. So it shows where Smoking Jim is. He left us in the dust, but Chip and I will try to carry on like we've done before numerous times. You can see we're centered here perfectly. They got these cameras, so we'll take care of that. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Thanks to all the people that say hello and see you each week. I appreciate that, and keep on watching us. Thanks again to everybody on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park and all the way from Nemacolin to Cranberry and Wexford. Appreciate you guys. Facebook page, it's been going around 6,542. We hit a high of 6,544. I left the house, 6,542 it was. So, like my daughter said a few years ago, there's haters out there. They like something, then they don't like something. So I'm just proud we're over 6,500 likes, and with our small show here that we've been doing for 6 years. We're going to carry on with that Smoking Jim. I got a few promotions. First one I have is for November 4th, a Muay Thai event in Ross Township, the Ross Township Community Center. Here's all the information. We got it on there. Thanks to Devin Shea for putting this tape here. I hope I hit the mark. I'll hide behind it. And that'll be fights at 6 p.m. Doors open at 5 p.m. General admission is $30 in advance or $35 at the door. Ringside table, $40, $45. Beer vouchers also available. It's the Ross Township Community Center. They expect a packed house, and there should be great Muay Thai fights. Next, I want to thank Olive Oil's Pizzeria, 412-831-1900. Just tried to sneak in there a little bit. Rookie Steve in there likes me on this photo while I'm talking about Olive Oil's Pizzeria. Thanks again. It was delicious. Had a great XL pizza and a steak hoagie. So all the volunteers have eaten here. Steve, I won't say that he ate 5 pieces of pizza, but it was pretty darn close to it. He said one of them was 2 cuts that looked like one. So that's what they get. They miscut it there. Son of a gun. Enjoy that pizza. 412-831-1900. Next is the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. We end each show with Stay Joey Strong. Poor boy didn't make it to his 9th birthday. And anything you donate there, it's a 501c3, even as little as $1. They have events. All the money goes to cancer research. DIPG is a brain cancer that's a death sentence to kids. And it's just a sad state of affairs, but we're strong supporters for that. So stay Joey strong. Next up is the Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. What a great location on South Park Road there. You see the trolley out front, 105 new windows they put in. It's all good stuff there. Check them out. You can donate as little as $1. Another 501c3 here in Bethel Park that does great things in the community. They even rent out rooms and stuff there, so check that out. Now, if you have a group or organization and you need some money, check this out. BPCF.org, Bethel Park Community Foundation. You get $100 of the $5,000. I'm on this committee, one of the trustees. We have meetings every couple months and discuss people that are doing good in Bethel Park that need some money for their group. So check it out again, bpcf.org. They're going to have something on the 28th at South Park Shops. They'll have hay rides and different things there, and you may even see the Talking Machine helping and judging contests for costumes for Halloween on October 28th. South Park Shops. Check it out. Now, this is a little thing that Dave Cable likes doing, put my face on Uncle Sam. I want you for BPTV, just like Devin Shea's worked at BPTV, I think for 18 years. He's unbelievable. We got Ethan there helping out. We got Steve, the rookie, that Smoking Jim calls him Rookie of the Year. He's helping out and going to college this year, so check it out. You could be a volunteer. Johnny Mariano. I know his mother keeps hearing me say his voice, but he has been here a few times and does help out in the studio and even on council night on the second Tuesday of each month. So if Johnny can make it, that's great. He does some great work for us. So be a volunteer at BPTV, 412-831-3304. And we have a sponsor for the beginning of our show, What's on Your Mind? And it's Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station. 7 miles away from here on Route 88, just past Trax Farm in Mineral Beach. Phone number 724-348-4715. He works on anything that runs on gas. Weed whackers, boats, tractors, trucks, cars, lawnmowers, you name it, he works on it. I've had him do some work on my lawnmower. He told me to press the button 12 times and it worked. Got the mower started, then I left. Did some work on my car, great prices, great work, and he does some great things down there. Check him out at Skeets Service Station. Can't miss it past Mineral Beach. Now we have What's on Your Mind, and Smoking Jim usually has something that he meanders about and talks about, and then we get to his point. No Smoking Jim tonight. He's hosting some event. We'll find out next week what event it was. But we got Chip Hayner here. Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Wow. Good evening, everybody, and thank you. And even though Smoking Jim is not here, and those are some big shoes to fill.
Oh,
right?
tremendous.
If you've ever taken a look under the desk, he's got some feet like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
But I'd like to mention a high school team of the week. Okay,
Whoa,
because I
you're
know
stealing
this
his
is something
thunder.
that Jim normally does. But I want to keep the ball rolling because we're coming into the last week of the regular season in high school football. So there's a lot of things going on. And I want to make sure that we give a shout out to our high school team of the week, and they're not from the east side of Pittsburgh.
Whoa, that's
They are the Charleroi Cougars. As a team, this has been the Cougars' best season in almost 2 decades. As a trio, Charleroi Gino Pellegrini, Hunter Perry, and Dakota Romantino could go down as one of the Whippeal's best, at least statistically. The 3 Cougars could each finish the regular season with 1,000 yards of offense at their respective positions. Pellegrini, a quarterback, has already thrown for 2,106 yards. Perry, a running back, only needs 33 yards in the final game against Brownsville to reach 1,000. Romantino, a receiver, has 897 yards on 42 receptions.
Only 103 yards to go.
Only
He could do it.
So it's and we're going to call this junior achievement because
Whoa.
all 3 of these young men are juniors in high school. They still have another season to go, so it'll
Great
be interesting to
information,
what they may do. It's Charleroi's 370 points scored this season breaks the school record for scoring set 61 years ago. The 1956 team scored 355 points and featured future NFL player Myron Potios.
I remember him.
That team lost in the WPIA title game 16-13 to Jeanette that had a future Steelers running back named Dick Hoke.
Wow.
See, this is the kind of information you don't get out of my dear friend Jim Frazier.
No, you're digging deep, buddy. Very good.
So to talk about the number of times that it's happened, there are 4 other WPIAL teams in history with a 1,000-yard quarterback, running back, and receiver in the regular season.
Wow.
The Blackhawk team of 2012 with Chandler Kincaid, Cole Chiapelli, and Alex Caratelli. Thomas Jefferson of 2003 with Pete Winovich, Ryan Hicks, and Tom McCafferty. The Norwin team from 1996 with Waylon Davis, Chris Pushik, and Jason Denali. And the Washington team of 1995 with Ken Carl Aaron Gatton, and Andy Molinaro. So
Wow.
maybe they can join this elite company. So keep an eye out on the Charleroi Cougars this weekend. They will be playing Brownsville. Should be a game worth paying attention to. Also, and anybody that paid attention to the WPIAL playoffs last year, there was a real injustice that was done because of the three teams between, what is that, Aliquippa, Beaver Falls,
Yeah.
and Beaver. Last year, Beaver was the odd man out and did not get the second wild card
I remember
spot,
that, yeah.
based on a really convoluted tiebreaker system, which we don't have time to explain in this
Not tonight.
in this 1 hour show. So Beaver is almost in the same place again this year, but looks like they may be able to make the playoffs this year because Beaver lost only 2 games all season. They lost to Aliquippa, and they lost to Quaker Valley, which happened to be the number 1 and number 2 ranked teams in Class AAA, and Beaver is ranked number 3. So all Beaver needs to do is to wrap up a win this week. They should secure themselves a playoff spot. They should have made the playoffs last week.
Wow.
So now to get some further individual accomplishments in the high school ranks before I get to what's on my mind.
All right.
Last week I brought up a young man from Mount Lebanon, wide receiver Aiden Kane. He needs 6 receptions Friday against Bethel Park to break the WPIAL regular season record for reception. Seton LaSalle's Carmen Connolly caught 86 passes in 2009. Kane has 81 and already has broken the regular season receiving yardage record. Also, and Jim, this one's for you, my friend. Gateway's quarterback Brady Walker needs 293 yards passing against Franklin Regional to break the WPIAL regular season record of 2,812 set 2 years ago by Avonworth's Zach Chandler. Walker has 2,520. We'll have to pay attention to find out if Mr. Walker can be up to the task.
That's a lot of yards. We'll see what happens.
If South Fayette defeats Montour Friday, the Lions will tie a WPIAL record for most consecutive perfect regular seasons with 6. You have to go all the way back to from 1954 to 1959. The Braddock team had 6 perfect regular seasons, and Aliquippa had 6 from 2010 to 2015. AT&T Sportsnet has decided to televise the South Fayette and Montour game live 7:30 on Friday night.
There you go, folks.
Okay, so that might be something that may be worth staying in and watching this weekend.
Yeah.
Only 17 players in WPIAL history have run for 400 yards in a game. York, a team that doesn't exactly have a great tradition, has 2 of them. Dustin Schoaf ran for 428 yards Friday, 10 years after Ben Hofer ran for 401 in 2007.
Wow.
And these are not household names. Also like to make a mention to a young defensive back for Mars Planets. Tom Sheehy didn't become a starter until this season. He's a junior, and he has turned into one of the WPIAL's best defensive backs. He had 2 interceptions last Friday, and that gives him 9 for the season.
Wow.
You talk about a ball hawk there. Maybe Coach Narduzzi ought to knock on his door,
Yeah.
the way his team
He's
plays
a beast.
defense. The statistics of Pine Richland's star quarterback. Everybody has heard this name, Phil Jerkovic. He's going to the Notre Dame Fighting
Yeah.
Irish.
Yeah.
Continue to be surreal. In the past 5 games, he's completed 85% of his passes.
Wow.
68 of 80, 1,117 yards, playing only the first half in most of the games because of blowouts.
Unbelievable.
So keep your eye on Phil Jerkovic as we go through the playoffs. But those are our high school athletes that deserve recognition. And our high school team of the week, the Charleroi Cougars.
Thanks for bringing that up, Chip.
So now,
What's on your
what's
mind?
on my mind? You know, I actually sat and watched an entire Steelers game this past weekend. And what a great game that was to watch. You know, it looked like in the first half of the game, both teams were trading touchdowns. I'm like, oh no, this is going to be a high-scoring game. But much to the chagrin of my dear friend Jim Frazier, it appears that Keith Butler has learned how to coach a defense, because the Steelers' defense held the Cincinnati Bungles, and yes, that's right, I did say Bungles, to 19 net yards in the second half on Sunday. And the thing that's so impressive about this defense is the speed. And they have just been unbelievable. I am so impressed with the way this defense is playing. The secondary is no longer the weak link. Joe Hayden seems to have solidified the cornerback position. Thank you, Cleveland Browns.
Sure.
You know, if anybody could figure out a way to get rid of somebody that's still got talent, it's the Cleveland Browns, and they do quite a good job of drafting people without any. Just look at their 0-7 record. But, you know, and I bring this up about the defense of Keith Butler because Mr. Frazier is always ripping on Keith Butler, how he is undeserving of being an NFL defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And it seems to be that maybe Jim might have been a little bit off the mark. And if you have paid any attention over the last 6 years, I believe the highest grade that Jim gave any of our Steeler drafts by Coach Tomlin and Coach or Kevin Colbert was a D-. Okay, so all of the players that are performing for them on this defense all seem to be players that Colbert and Tomlin have drafted together. There's a lot of number 1, number 2 picks that are all starting to play to their abilities. We've got rid of some of the bums that were not toting the line, where people that got drafted in the second round that never saw the field after 3 years and still couldn't make it out of the first day of training camp. So I tip my hat to Kevin Colbert, to Coach Tomlin, and to Coach Kevin Butler for bringing that defense in. But so we've got all these wonderful things to talk about. I saw a great football game. I saw the Bengals humbled. I saw Vontaze Burfict be Vontaze Burfict. But other than that, he was completely anonymous in the game.
Right.
The only time I saw him was when he was picking himself up after Roosevelt Nix planted him.
And kicking him.
Vontaze Burfict is going to be Vontaze Burfict. The only problem is the Steelers were smart enough not to retaliate. So what do I hear on the radio all day, Monday and Tuesday?
You're going to talk about what I'm going to talk about.
Then I will let Alan talk about that. All we hear about is nothing that has anything to do with the game, and it has everything to do with the foolishness of social media. And I don't want to trample on what Alan's going to talk about, so I like to dwell on the fact that the Steelers look like their team is starting to gel. The defense is playing very well. The offense is still having some difficulties in the red zone, but as long as the defense is only giving up 14 points a game, the offense is capable of scoring enough points to win games. But enjoy the action on Sunday. That's what the Pittsburgh Steelers are all about. What happens Monday through Saturday matters not. But that's what's on my mind, and I hand it off to my colleague Al Levine and let him have his say.
2 words, Martavius Bryant. Watch a great Steeler game. I bleed black and gold like all of you. When they win, I think they're going to the Super Bowl. When they lose, they're not going anywhere. Guy catches one ball for 3 yards, drops another ball or whatever, and he's on social media talking about Juju, and then he had to delete it. Just nonsense. And it's amazing with talk radio how they pick up on all this nonsense. Hours and hours on each show that they talk about it. So the only reason I'm talking about Martavius Bryant is he went to ESPN, said now he wants traded. Unless they can do more for him, and it's all about he wants to be happy. How about winning? Did they forget about what the goal is? AB is one of the most me guys that you'll ever meet. First game of the year was 8 for 8. Look at what he's done. He's one of the few players that's played to his level as a leading receiver in the league. Le'Veon Bell's in shape. Now he's running like Le'Veon Bell. The offensive line still needs some work to do. They're not opening up holes or protecting like they have, but I'm still hopeful there. Big Ben's still throwing the high ball. What are we talking about Martavius Bryant for? Who cares? I don't blame the Steelers. Not going to discipline him, not going to trade him. Put him on the inactive list.
All you had to do to keep Antonio Brown from acting like a fool was pay him. But there's what my take is on Martavis Bryant. The Steelers have him under contract for this year and for next year. And they have him on a very cap-friendly contract because he's still on his rookie contract, his initial contract. Now, because he was such a fool and squandered most of the money he made and ended up ultimately paying exorbitant fines and everything else and getting suspended twice, which ultimately comes without pay. Now he's at a place where he wants to be the center of the offense. Well, I believe that after everything that he's been through, this is a thing that he has to earn. And he hasn't really proven anything yet. Now, the people that he's listening to that are telling him, his agent has one client. It's Martavis Bryant. And if his agent had half of a brain in his head, he would tell Martavis to stay off of social media, to practice, to play hard, go out there and produce on the fields on Sunday, so that maybe come the end of this contract, he might get a second contract that could be worth quite a bit of money.
Sure.
But instead, he's got him making a complete fool of himself, and he's proven nothing to nobody, and he's under contract, so if the Steelers were smart, they wouldn't even entertain the idea of trading him. Why? He is he can be a game-breaking talent. You know what?
Here, he's 6'5". He's 230
Use him
pounds.
up
His run
for
of
the next 2 years.
4.27. So he has the prototype skills.
If he becomes a malcontent on our team, you keep him under contract, and who's going to want to sign him to a multi-year, mega $1 million contract if he's a cancer on the team?
Nobody.
See, what he has to do is he has to show everybody that he can not fail a drug test, that he can perform
up to the
on
level.
a consistent basis in the NFL, be a good teammate, be somebody that somebody would want to spend a lot of money. Right now, he's damaged goods. I don't think you could get a bag of used footballs for him if you traded him right now. It would be a mistake if they did. And as hard as this may seem right now, I do believe that Martavis Bryant will be a contributor to several Steelers victories between now and the end of the season. Mark my words.
I can't argue with you. I'm thinking the same thing, but to have to even talk about it, I had to address it because it hit ESPN. I mean, it's just laughable with what they're saying, and his girlfriend's chiming in with this stuff. So between him, his agent, and his girlfriend, just get off of social media. And we're going to move on, and we'll be back with Chip's Trivia. Don't change that dial.
I've shown an interest in making home movies. Me and some buddies would just grab a camera and you just start making these videos, and then you realize at some point that this isn't just a hobby anymore. It's something that you actually want to pursue, and there's this great facility right down the road, BPTV. A lot of people will try to do these productions on their own, and one of the things they don't have is the equipment, you know. But right here is everything that you need in one nice little bundle. There's lights, cameras, reflectors, dollies, all kinds of little knickknacks. Like anything that you'd want to use that you would need for a production, you have it right here. Like, it's all right here. You can make your own feature movie just with the stuff from this studio. Come meet Dave Cable, let him show you around, and I think you'll realize that this is something that you could fall into regardless of your level of expertise, whether you're a beginner or even if you're a more advanced learner. There's something here for everyone, and I feel that you just need to come through and just be a part of the experience and just watch and learn, and, you know, let Dave be your guide.
One of the things we do at BPTV is encourage our producers to film on location. Not only does shooting on location give our producers the opportunity to take advantage of their subject matter, filming in different locations gives each program its own distinct flavor. This also helps anyone who's flipping through the channels avoid confusion when they turn on BPTV. With around 500 programs produced at BPTV each year, the last thing we want people to think is that we're only broadcasting one program. So, you need to come into BPTV to pitch your TV show, but in terms of where you actually end up taping your show, the sky's the limit.
Well, good evening, folks, and welcome to my trivia segment. And you know, I was counting on Smoking Jim being here tonight, so I didn't really go in depth with my trivia for this evening. And I'll try to make eat up some time so we don't have any dead air. But as you all know, about my passion for the game of baseball, tonight kicks off the World Series. The Houston Astros and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Best of 7 series for the World Championship. Now, the Houston Astros have been in major leagues for 55 years and they've never won a World Series. And after Hurricane Harvey hit Houston, I would think it would be poetic justice for the Houston Astros to win the World Championship. They have a team that is quite capable of doing that. They won 101 games this year. The Los Angeles Dodgers led the major leagues with 104 wins this year. So we have two teams that will match up very well. The Dodgers pitching staff was first in the league in ERA and wins and WHIP. And the Houston Astros have 2 star pitchers that are the equal to any on the Dodgers staff. So that all being said, I just wanted to bring up 6 things that you may not know about the World Series.
6 things.
6 things. Last week I went over a history of the World Series. And this week I'm going to go over some things. It may touch on some of the things that I talked about last week. Although the first official World Series didn't take place until 1903.
Right.
And we know that that happened down on the North Shore.
Sure.
The Pittsburgh Pirates played the Boston Americans. And the Pirates lost in 9 games. So,
And Smoking Jim didn't know that.
You know, well, we'll leave it at that. Between 1884 and 1890, the National League and the American Association, a rival organization, that went belly up in 1891. And I say that because I always refer to the National League as the senior circuit, and I explained that last week. Because the American League didn't come into existence until sometime after the National League had. But that being said, they played an exhibition series that pitted their respective champions against one another. These games were known as the Championship of the United States or the World's Championship Series. Haphazardly thrown together by the teams themselves, the event was completely disorganized, in some series lasting 3 games and others as many as 15. When the American Association folded, the National League continued as the only game and the only champion in town. The outcome of the first, that was the first thing that you may not have known about the World Series. Number 2, the outcome of the first World Series may have paved the way for Major League Baseball. The National League allowed some teams from the defunct American Association to join.
What do you got?
The rest and the American League was born. 4 of the defunct teams from the American Association were asked to join the National League, and they created the American League. The organization held a great deal of contempt for one another, leading to infighting and feuding among players and fans as each league tried to claim as being the champion. Finally, in 1903, the 2 sides met on an official field of battle in the National League's Pittsburgh Pirates faced the American League's Boston Americans in the first World Series. The Americans won the series 5-3, instilling the American League with legitimacy. Had the Pirates emerged as victors, there's a chance the younger organization could have collapsed, and Major League Baseball, as we know it, might never have come into being. And I know that's something that would just bring Jim Frazier to tears.
Yes.
The third thing about the World Series is the World Series has only been canceled twice. Since 1903, only 2 years have gone by without a World Series. Interestingly enough, neither of these years came during World War II, during which the best players from many teams fought overseas. For example, the Yankees won the '43 World Series without Hall of Famers Joe DiMaggio, Phil Rizzuto, or Red Ruffing. Most recently, a players' strike thwarted the championship in 1994.
Wow.
Now, I bring that up because in 1994, the two best teams in Major League Baseball were the Montreal Expos and the Cleveland Indians. And unfortunately, I believe that would have been the Indians' year. But,
Didn't happen.
the greed of the owners, the greed of the players, forced the cancellation of the World Series. But 90 years earlier, in 1904, it was a National League owner who disappointed fans by preventing the annual event. John Brush, president of the New York Giants at the time, refused to compete with the Boston Americans because he considered both the team and the American League inferior.
Wow.
In 1905, when his Giants again won the National League Championship, Brush allowed his team to participate in the World Series, but only after the league instituted a number of regulations. They called these the Brush Rules, as they were known, including provisions for revenue sharing between the teams, and put in place the 7-game format. Though unpopular in his day, Brush is probably one of the most influential people in World Series history.
Wow.
And the fourth of my 6 things that you did not know about the World Series, only one world champion team did not come from the United States. And that was a team that came from north of the border. The Toronto Blue Jays won back-to-back world championships in 1992 and 1993. Only one other international team, the now defunct Montreal Expos, has ever played in the major leagues, though they never appeared in the Fall Classic. Though there are talks of expanding into Mexico and other nearby countries, travel time truly makes an international sport difficult. An American world champion is a virtual guarantee for now. Number 5 on my list. One team has won 27 World Series titles, while 2 hapless franchises haven't appeared in a single one. Of the 107 World Series to date, the Yankees have appeared in 40, and they've won 27. This is far and away the most championship victories of any franchise in baseball and in sports history. Meanwhile, the San Diego Padres, Texas Rangers, Tampa Bay Rays, Houston Astros, Milwaukee Brewers, Colorado Rockies haven't won a single World Series. And the Washington Nationals, formerly the Montreal Expos, and the Seattle Mariners have never appeared in the Fall Classic.
Wow.
And as you look at the longest streaks in world, besides the 2 teams that have never won a World Series, you've got the Cleveland Indians that have not won the World Series in 59 years. You have the Texas Rangers, who have not won a World Series in 57 years. You have the Houston Astros, which have not won a series in 55 years. I hope that streak is broken this year. And last but not least, before the era of championship rings, triumphant players took home timepieces. These days, the winner of the World Series gets the Commissioner's Trophy, first awarded in 1967 to the St. Louis Cardinals. Meanwhile, each winning team traditionally presents its members with championship rings. In the early part of the 20th century, however, players received pocket watches or medallions as token of their team's appreciation. One player, Frank Crosetti, won so many World Series with the Yankees, 7 as a player and 10 as a coach, that the team started giving him engraved shotguns instead. The 1922 New York Giants became the first team to issue rings as a reward for the championship, but it did not become a league-wide custom until 1926. And oh, by the way, could you imagine if they issued them engraved shotguns in this day and age?
No.
I think there would be panic in the streets.
That there would be, Chip.
Okay, but those are 6 little-known facts about the World Series. I'll have an update on what's happened in the series. Opening pitch tonight, 8 o'clock. They say game time for first pitch should be somewhere between 97 and 99 degrees. Clayton Kershaw, multiple Cy Young Award winner, MVP Award winner, will be going up against Dallas Keuchel of the Houston Astros, who is a former Cy Young Award winner as well.
Yep.
Probably the 2 best left-handers in Major League Baseball. It's going to be a game worth watching.
I got to put you on the spot. What's your prediction, Chip?
I take the Houston Astros in 6.
Wow. There you go,
Houston
folks.
in 6.
Houston in 6. I'm going the opposite, LA in 6.
Good. Good.
I'm on the exact opposite.
Yeah, and it's been since 1988 when the Kirk Gibson-led Dodgers swept the
What a
heavily
home run he
favored
had.
Oakland A's with the Bash brothers, Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chip. I appreciate your trivia this week and embellishing a little bit of the 6 things we didn't know about the World Series.
No embellishment there, man. Those are all real.
They were facts.
Yeah.
On location, we'll be at Olive Oil's Pizzeria and More on November 13th, lining up the guests for the show. Frank Funero is the owner, loves our show, likes promoting his pizza, $5 large pizzas, $5 hoagies. Come out to 930 Brookline Boulevard at 7:30 to 8:30 on November 13th. Got a bunch of guests, Muay Thai fighters, MMA, Jamie Chesney, who does different things for kids and teaches them Muay Thai and other type of martial arts. And Johnny Angel and the Halos, no Halos, but Johnny Angel will be there with his grandson as a hockey player. So we got guests lined up with a couple more coming. So stay tuned for Olive Oil's Pizzeria and More, November 13th, 7:30 to 8:30. Be there and watch us film a TV show. And thanks for watching all our shows and liking our Facebook page. Appreciate that.
Hi, Bethel Park. Remember me? My name is Jason Planitzer. I was the host of a little show here. You may have seen it. It was called The Jason Planitzer Show.
What would you say your experience at BPTV, how has that had an impact on your life?
I found my voice. I learned how to be funny. I learned how to create things. I learned how to collaborate with people here. I developed an interest in film and comedy and making videos. It stuck with me. It continued through my life. I got into working on motion pictures. I now I'll produce small videos. I'll work with producers on commercials, television projects, feature films. I scout locations on TV shows and movies, which involves me reading scripts, finding the locations that need to be shot, and collaborating with the director and production designer to find the perfect spot. It all started at BPTV for me.
thanks for not switching that dial and watching our commercials. And Chief, if you're eating dessert, enjoy your dessert, whatever it may be. We know you watch our show when you can, so thanks. And if you're with Big Jimmy Mack, I say hello. Worked with him a lot of years and can't believe he's 85 years old. So
85 years young.
Well, whatever.
There you go. Right,
Whatever.
Chief?
I knew him a long time ago. We had some good conversations. Good man. All right, we got some Steelers talk. All the people were against the Steelers when we lost a couple games we shouldn't have. Offensive line, the quarterback, the running back, the receivers, except for Antonio Brown. AB was the only one performing. Now we have a game, one disappointment. We had to kick some field goals, but we still outscored them 29-14. So much for Smoking Jim. I'm going to pow on with Chip.
Oh, yeah.
With the defensive coordinator. Hey, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Smoking Jim, is very critical of the Steeler defense, but I think Joe Hayden has helped. The young players up front, linebackers have played well. We've got some good hitting there, and they're containing these guys. 19 yards for second half.
And one of the things that Jim said when Ryan Shazier was drafted, as he said that he is not an inside linebacker. He should be on the outside. And with his speed, Jim probably was, right? But let me tell you this. If he isn't one of the best inside linebackers in pro football right now, I'd like you to tell me who is.
His speed and hitting is just unbelievable.
Did you see when he was closing on
Yes.
on Andy Dalton? It was fourth down, and Andy Dalton threw the ball into the cheap seats because Shazier was closing on him fast.
And
There was
he
no
hurts,
way he was
he
gonna
hurts
get it.
people. He's a hitter.
No, that speed frightens people.
Sure.
And that's something that's to be said about that. But the Steelers defense, they're playing very, very well. Hilton, he's been solid in the secondary. Sean Davis is following up a good rookie season with a solid secondary.
Hayden's played well.
Artie Burns looks like he's there to stay, and Joe Hayden. God bless the Cleveland Browns. They were looking to make changes. I'm going to tell you a little funny story about the Cleveland Browns, two of them. I see a post on Facebook Sunday, and it's 12:57. A friend of mine that lives in Cleveland has a picture from First Energy Field. He goes, could we at least have one win? And I laughed about it, but if there's any team that could screw up to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory, here's Cleveland in overtime. They get down to the last couple of minutes, and Tennessee is going to kick a field goal to win the game. So they line up, and just before they snap the ball, Hugh Jackson calls timeout. They kick the ball hits the upright and bounces away, and if he hadn't called timeout, he would have missed it. So what do? They replay the down, drills it right down the middle. Goodbye, Cleveland. Now, the other thing I think, while I'm on the Cleveland bash, last week I was in Louisville for some business meetings, and the keynote speaker on Wednesday night was none other than Ron Jaworski.
Wow.
Quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles for a number of years, and he played 17 years in the NFL. And he told some really interesting and amazing stories. So they got to the question and answer portion at the end of his speech. And a woman stood up and she said, I am a long-suffering Cleveland Browns fan. And she goes, could you just give me some kind of idea? Is there ever going to be a time when we're going to be 8-8? And the entire room busted up laughing. We're all laughing. And Ron Jaworski shared a story. He said Hugh Jackson is a friend of his. And he said Hugh Jackson really is a good football coach. And here's what he said, that the analytical people that are running Cleveland need to get out of there and let football people make decisions about the football team. When Carson Wentz was a senior in college and they're getting ready for the draft, Ron Jaworski and a number of NFL coaches all went to his media day or whatever. So
Sure.
he's trying out for all the different NFL teams, and everybody's watching him, and he's completing throw after throw, making all the throws that you expect a quarterback to make. and everybody's drooling over Carson
Sure.
Wentz. And Hugh Jackson, Ron Jaworski asked Hugh Jackson, what do you think of me? He's like, I absolutely love him. I've got to have him. So, what ends up happening is Cleveland didn't draft Carson Wentz. Philadelphia did. Look at Philadelphia, 6-1.
Yeah.
Look at Cleveland, 0-7. And it's not because the coach didn't want him. It's because the analytical people did.
Sure.
So, what you need to do is let football people make football decisions. And, instead of wondering if you're ever going to be 8-8, here in Pittsburgh, we wonder, are we going to win another division championship? And it looks like we're on our way.
Yeah.
We're 3-0 in the division.
Look at the division, how bad it is.
Yeah,
between
Baltimore's
Baltimore and Cincinnati.
I think Baltimore actually has 15 players on the injured reserve list. And, they don't make excuses. This is the National Football League. It's next man up. But Joe Flacco
Looks bad.
Does not look like a $100 million quarterback. No. And I hope that Marvin Lewis stays the coach of the Cincinnati Bengals for another decade. And I hope they sign Vontaze Burfict to a 50-year, $500 million contract, because as long as that meathead plays on their team, they will continue to lose. He does not help his team.
He hurts them.
He hurts them. I mean, his foolishness went on again Sunday. What did he try to do? A double mule kick to Roosevelt Nixon's face?
Yeah.
I mean, and then if you heard what Marvin Lewis had to say about it, he tried to blame that on Roosevelt Nixon.
Yeah.
So you got a coach that's that's completely delusional.
Right.
Okay, and that's why I say as long as he stays coach,
it'll help us.
I think maybe he could set an NFL record for the longest tenured coach never to have won a playoff game. That would be a great record to hang your hat on.
They're proud of it. And so much for Smoking Jim saying Andy Dalton should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and my response back to that quote when he put it out on Facebook is, I do believe Andy Dalton will get into the Hall of Fame, but he's going to have to buy a ticket to do it.
Makes sense. A lot of people visit. Definitely. It could be, but it's nice to have the Steelers win a couple in a row. The week before they kept Kansas City to 6 yards in the first half, now 19 yards in the second half for Cincinnati. You can't beat defense like that because the offense will come back and have their days. They want them to score an average 30 points a game. They're getting close. You can see the improvements, throughout.
Our friend Jim Frazier, he's a betting man. And he bet on the Chiefs to beat the Steelers, and that didn't work out for him. And he bet on the Bengals to beat the Steelers. Now, you know what? I consider this week's game a trap game for the Steelers because we have beaten two teams that were, the Bengals were on the upswing. The arrow was pointing up for them. And the Kansas City Chiefs were undefeated when we played them.
Sure.
They were the toast of the AFC.
Now they've lost 2 straight games.
But you look at the Steelers. Just when we think that the Steelers should go on a roll, they usually trip over their own 2 feet.
Hold it. This is the time for the roll.
This is the time for the roll. But, here's the thing. The Detroit Lions are completely capable of beating anybody on any given Sunday. Matthew Stafford is a quality NFL quarterback, and he could beat you on any given Sunday. And if the Steelers think that they're, going to play less than their best game on Sunday night, now there's no reason for them not to put it all out there. We play this Sunday night. We finish the first half of the year 6-2. We go on a bye.
Yeah.
So we got a chance to get people healed up midway through the season. And but that being said, there's the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if history has taught us anything,
I'm not overconfident, but I feel they will beat Detroit.
I believe they
just because of what I've seen. My theory is they play at the level of the competition, and once in a while they win. Now they're like 5-14 on the road with losing teams. So using Bob Prince's hidden vigorish, it's time they win a game.
It's time they win a game. But like I said, Detroit, and the parity in the NFL is that any team can beat any other team on a given Sunday, with the exception of the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
And I feel bad for Hugh Jackson because he was an excellent offensive coordinator when he was in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But his record now, since he It's 1
Took
in
over.
22.
Yeah.
It's 1 in 22 since he came to Cleveland. And unfortunately, I don't think he's going to make it through the season. And Cleveland, once again, is going to blow it up, and they're going to start all over again. And that's the whole crux of their problem. They have the wrong people making the decisions. What they need to do is they need to hire football people and let them make football decisions. This analytical way of looking at football, evaluating talent, it
loses something
an
in the
abject
translation.
failure at
Yeah.
this point. Subsequently, Joe Thomas, the best player the Cleveland Browns have had in the last 2 decades, all-pro starting tackle. He tore his tricep muscle. He had gone 10,363 snaps without missing a play before this past Sunday.
That's amazing.
And it looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the season, and this could be a career-ending injury.
That's terrible.
And that's a shame, because here's a guy that, for all the years that he's been in Cleveland, they haven't even attempted to be great, and they haven't even made it to 8-8.
No, they can't get there. Talking about our other team, the Penguins.
Tonight, the Penguins are playing Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. So what we are literally seeing this evening at the PPG Paints Arena is probably the face of hockey and the future face of hockey.
The heir apparent.
Connor McDavid is 10 years younger than Sid Crosby. He's 20 years old and an incredible player. Now, he started off the year like a house of fire. He scored a hat trick in the first game. The unfortunate thing is he hasn't scored a goal since. But he's capable on any given night. They say his biggest asset is his speed. And I think when you play somebody that is that talented, that is that fast, that it just raises the level of your game.
Sure. So it should be quite the contest. They tried sending Diami through waivers. Florida grabbed him.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing was, they're at the first intermission with the Edmonton and Penguins tied at 0-0. But Anthony Niemi was, number of reasons they brought him in. They brought him in because he was a veteran goaltender. He actually has his name etched on the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Okay. And, they got him at a very cap-friendly price of less than $1 million a year. They were paying him $750,000.
Yeah.
But in the short time that he played 3 games, his goals against average, I believe, was 7.75.
Yeah, it was terrible.
And I don't know, is that a product of how poorly he was playing goaltender, or was that a product of the defense? I really didn't watch the games, but the Penguins decided to cut bait. They couldn't afford to continue to lose games at the clip they were with him.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, they have 2 young goaltenders at Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, that
have some talent.
Have some talent, and I think what you might see is for the near future that the Penguins may alternate the 2 of them down there, because here's the reason why both these gentlemen are still down in Wilkes-Barre, is they need to play to sharpen their skills.
Sure.
And if they're sitting watching Matt Murray play, they're not going to advance their development.
We've talked about it before, from baseball to hockey, that young players need to play. They need that experience.
Yes.
Whether they have talent or not, you find out. If they do have the talent, it even behooves them more to have them playing nightly.
Well, and also, what I think is
Build those skills up.
a very strong part of their development is to see how they face adversity, because, as a professional athlete, you're going to, that is going to be a reality that you're going to have to deal with.
Sure.
And, the seasoning can help them. So,
It won't hurt them to play.
No, and there's one thing I'm not worried about right now with Pittsburgh is the Pittsburgh Penguins. 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions. Jim Rutherford has proven that he's everything that you could want in a general manager and more. And Mike Sullivan is a coach beyond reproach. He will get this team motivated. They just traded for a third-line center.
Yeah.
Sheehan, they picked him up
been talking about
from
him
Detroit.
tonight.
And this is his first game in a Penguin uniform, and he's just getting himself acclimated. He's going to be on the third line with Hornquist and I think Kessel.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 talented players.
Well, yeah, and the Penguins do need a third line center. Nick Bonino did a great job the last 2 years. Very vital part of organization. But you need to have 3 strong lines, you know, in the
And,
in the
and
NHL.
Sullivan seems to be able to coach them up and play hockey the right way. He said that, and he has them saying it. It's their mantra. They talk the same way when you interview players, and it's just a nice style.
They bought into his system.
Well, you have a core group of players that they've signed. Then you have these young players that are able to fill in the gaps, and they have speed.
You see, and that was the mistake that Ray Shero made, because Ray Shero signed all these guys to long-term, high-dollar contracts, and that's okay because we've got a core group with Letang, Crosby, Malkin,
Yeah.
you know, and all these guys locked in, Phil Kessel.
Yeah.
But you know, what you had to do was you had to develop young talent, people that are making the NHL minimum, to be able to keep the core group of experienced veteran stars, and they've done that. And,
Yeah.
and the cupboard,
they've excelled at it.
The cupboard was bare when Rutherford got here, because Shero traded away all their young forwards. They were a little defensive heavy, but they didn't have anything worth bringing up
Forward-wise,
to
it was
complement
terrible.
to complement, and
Yeah.
they kept on trying to do that with aging veterans in the push to the
players,
the win now mentality,
Yeah.
which really hurt the team more than it helped the team. So they're on the right path. It's October the 24th. Nothing to be worried about. You know, I don't really think that we're going to see the team that's going to make a run for the 3rd straight cup until probably February, March.
Yep.
And then you'll see the team that I believe is going
Three-peat
to
is on the way.
carry the cup
Yeah,
down the
three-peat.
Boulevard of the Allies for the 3rd time in 3 years.
Yeah, which is rare in this day and age with salary caps and, you know.
Well, you know, I mean, you know, there hasn't, you know, the Penguins are the first team to repeat in 20 years.
Yeah.
It was the 97, 98 Red Wings that were the last team to do that.
That's true. Yeah.
So, and on a different note, you know, even though World Series is being played in Los Angeles and Houston, Jung Ho Gong has appeared on the radar in the Dominican Republic. He's played in 7 games, and he's 3 for 24. Hit his first home run last night. Struck out 10 times. He's not lighting the world on fire.
Wow.
But there has been a Jung Ho Gong sighting, and
He'll be playing there, so.
I'll be feeding more updates as the information comes out. So
We appreciate that, Chip. It's always nice to get a little update and see what the Pirates do over the winter talks. And
yeah, they're right now. Everything is speculation. So why waste our time?
I can't
We're not
see
going to
it.
talk about what if. We'll end up talking about
hey,
what
one
is.
thing I
when
wanted
it
to
happens.
mention is I'm watching this pitcher for Houston the other day, Charlie Morton, throwing 97-mile-per-hour fastballs.
Charlie Morton won Game 7. When he pitched in Game 3, he was typical Charlie Morton. Unhittable in the first inning. Second inning gives up a 3-run homer. 2 innings later gives up 3 more runs. He gets yanked. He doesn't last 5 innings. Pitches 5 innings, no hit ball in the 7th game.
He looked good. I don't know what
Good
they
for
did.
Charlie.
Hey, we got to end the show. Thanks to Mary Ann at Azazu for cutting my hair. I've got the clean look here, and Emilio there at Azazu Salon downtown. Stay Joey strong.